Good morning and welcome to Business Today. I am Umar Kaltumbo. Now on this edition of the show, which is a very special one, just like last week Friday's edition, we have a special guest to discuss a variety of issues that affect the nation's economy, talking about the investment rating by the PricewaterhouseCoopers House, the fact that Nigeria is even not in competition with its competitors like the BRICS cities, they call them Brazil, Russia, India, China, and of course South Africa. And of course we will be talking about the fact that the nation's collectible revenue has dropped by well over 13%, which is weighing heavily on the possible or impossibility of implementing our huge over 7 trillion naira budget. And then we will have the issues about surrounding the headline inflation that has dropped recently. Perhaps there are reasons, and of course the seeming stability of the forex market, which is part of the issues that we will be discussing with our special guest. And our guest today is Dr. Rislanudeen Muhammad, who is a Harvard-trained economist, a former managing director of Unity Bank, and of course an investment advisor.
Liberty TV, Liberty. Liberty TV, Liberty. A station with a vision to build all nations. So interesting, educating, so keep on watching. A voice for all, a vision for all, keep on watching. Liberty TV. Yes, Liberty TV is now in Abuja. We started somewhere and we are going everywhere. Liberty TV is best in news, sports, entertainment, politics, interesting programs and lots more. Live in Abuja. You can now advertise on Liberty TV here in Abuja. For more enquiries, visit our office at number 12 Benghazi Street, Usezum 4, Abuja, or call the following number 070-337-56132 or 080-271-00933. You can also log on to www.libertytvradio.com. Liberty TV, a station with a vision to build all nations. Your satisfaction is our obligation. Liberty TV, voice for all, vision for all. A station with a vision to build all nations. So interesting, educating, so keep on watching. A voice for all, a vision for all, keep on watching. Liberty TV.
You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir, we'll start with these figures about the seeming decline of the inflationary rate, which is 16.1% now.
Yeah.
It was 19.9% as pointed sometime in this year, and now it has dropped tremendously. What magic do you think this government has performed to make this inflation drop to 16.1%?
Okay. Good morning, listeners, and thank you for having me. If you noticed the trajectory over the last 2 years, up until the beginning of this year, I think from February this year, when the trajectory started, of the inflation rate started coming down, we had series of crises. One, the economy got into recession.
Yes.
And two, level of productivity went down, majorly because we got trapped in an economy that was and is import dependent.
Yes.
We still rely over 70% of our income on foreign exchange income from sale of oil.
Yes.
90% of our foreign exchange from crude oil sales. And suddenly oil price started coming down from about $115 a barrel around June 2014 to as low as $28.
Yes.
In fact, there were projections that it will go as low as $10. So naturally, income earnings for Nigeria went down, and that affected the capacity of the central bank, which is a major player in the foreign market industry, to provide the necessary foreign exchange to our economy, the industries that are hugely import dependent. And because of that, there was a wide gap between the exchange market, between the black market and the official exchange rate. And because of simple economics rules of supply and demand, there was limited supply in the official angle,
Yes.
and because of that, the rate at the foreign exchange market in the black market skyrocketed.
Yes. To about 500.
There were banning of some items, import items, and so it became very difficult to access foreign exchange through the official sources. And because of that, most of the importers headed towards the black market to access foreign exchange. And because of the high cost of foreign exchange, that dovetails into high cost of goods they import,
Yes.
the raw material they import for their industries, or the finished product they import. That is what brought about what is called imported inflation. Because there are basically two forms of inflation. There is imported or cost push inflation, and there is what is called demand pull inflation. Normally you find demand pull inflation when an economy is buoyant. Everybody wants to buy, and so the economy is well stimulated, and you begin to see too few goods being chased by a lot of people, and the price goes up. But in our own case, it was not demand pull. It was more of a cost push, imported inflation. Inflation imported from abroad. Imported because maybe there are some challenges in the economy of those countries where those goods are being imported. Imported because of the cost of getting the foreign exchange to produce that dovetails into the price of goods and services. So consistently, for almost 20 months, inflation rate has been going up. Suddenly, we have three advantages. We are able to get three advantages, which we are still benefiting now, and which I want to caution that is not at the end of the solution, but we have a stopgap, and we should take advantage of it. And the three succors that we are able to get are: one, price of oil has gone up. It is now about $48.
Yes.
And like I said, as low as $28, $25. Two, at some point, the so-called Niger Delta Avengers were denying us over 1 million barrels of oil export. At some point, we were exporting less than 1 million barrels a day instead of 2.2 million barrels a day because of the activities of the Niger Delta Avengers. Now there is relative peace in the Niger Delta. And because of that loss, which was appreciated by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, when they set up a quota system, reduction of output, reduction of oil export by individual countries, they gave us what you call the export special waiver.
Yes, they exempted us.
They exempted us.
Perhaps due to security.
Because of what happened to us. They know we have lost a lot, and they know our economy has sunk into serious recession. They knew we need a lot of money, and they supported us. So those three things cannot last forever. Well, number one, we don't have control on the price of crude.
No.
And number two, we need to find a lasting solution to the activities of the Niger Delta Avengers. And number three, this issue of waiver will not last forever. So because of those advantages that we have had, the foreign exchange flow began to appreciate. The central bank has so far spent over $3 billion in intervening to ensure stability in the market, and yet our reserve is in excess of 30 billion. At some point, it started coming down to as low as less than 28 billion,
Yes.
and CBN do not have the capacity to intervene in the market and provide the necessary stability, macro stability in the market by improving liquidity. Why I'm saying also in that respect, it is not a permanent solution, because up to now, the portfolio investors, the private investors, the diaspora funds guys are still not comfortable, because all the analysis done by the foreign portfolio investors is saying that yes, dollar naira was undervalued at the black market rate then of 500 naira or thereabout, or 400 something plus naira, but they felt naira was overvalued at 305 naira. They think naira should hover around somewhere in the region of 340, 350.
Do you feel the same?
Well, the thing is, the word of caution is, the central bank cannot ad infinitum, forever, continue to be the major player providing money for BTA, for PTA, for school fees of the privileged, for medicals of the privileged, forever. It cannot do that forever. The only way it can be sustainable is if there is a balanced participation, private sector participation. People have trust in the exchange rate management. People have confidence so that they bring in the money, and central bank can always come in to intervene from time to time to provide the necessary liquidity and stability in the market. But so long as it is the responsibility of the central bank to convince those guys with facts and figures professionally that, look, this is our basis of agreeing that naira should be hinging around 305, 306 naira. If that is not done, and God forbid anything happen that touches on the capacity of the central bank to provide that requisite intervention, then the simple logic of economics will fall into place. There will be excess demand, and naturally in the period of excess demand with limited supply, price
will rise.
Price will go off.
But let me say something here, sir. Talking about the CBN supporting the foreign exchange, from our own reserves, sometimes from even loans, perhaps, we do have a huge budget of over 7 trillion naira. And recently the Minister of Finance was saying initially she said we have exhausted our loans threshold to support the budget, and then eventually she backtracked again and now said that we can continue to borrow to support the same budget. The question now is, what is the real state of our finances? Because obviously our finance have declined by over 13%. Our consolidated revenue income has declined by over 13%. So, which means the economy is working on, is it debt?
Well, no, I mean, it is rather ironical that we are hearing such kind of conflicting information from the Minister of Finance or from officials of government. From day one, the government presented a budget of 7.3 trillion, and they projected 2.36 trillion deficit financing. Yes. They even specified how that 2.36 trillion was going to be financed, to 45-55% between the local borrowing and foreign borrowing. Even at that time, there was a word of caution, because number one, Debt Management Office came out with what they call the Debt Sustainability Analysis Report, which showed that we shouldn't borrow, all in borrowing should not be more than 22 billion. Number two, the IMF at their spring meeting did caution the Nigerian government about, borrowing spree, because at that time in their own analysis, they said that our debt to GDP, not debt to GDP. We always rely on debt to GDP to push developing countries into borrowing spree. If you take the debt to GDP ratio of Nigeria, you'll be talking about 16 to 18% now, even with this increase in borrowing. And with that, one can say, no, we are still comfortable because for an emerging market, your debt to GDP ratio can be as high as 50%.
50%,
But word of caution, the critical thing that a country needs to look at when borrowing is not necessarily the debt to GDP ratio. You can be deceived by seeing a debt to GDP comfortable. What need to be looked at is the debt to revenue ratio. And the IMF said our debt to revenue ratio is between about 59 and 65%. What that means is, I told you earlier we're an import-dependent economy. I told you earlier on we rely almost 90% for our foreign exchange. And if you borrow $1 billion and you're repaying the import of debt to revenue ratio of 65% means that on every $1.65 will go into servicing of existing debt.
That is
The remaining 35% is going to be used for paying salaries, paying pensioners, and if there is a balance, to do the huge 30% capital expenditure budget. That is the challenge. And I think at the late hour, the Ministry of Finance realized real danger in where we are heading to. Continue borrowing, and the budget has been approved. Now, what the minister is saying is we have to look at how to improve efficiency in terms of our tax management. Very good, because it's true. And most Nigerians, especially the top end, the high income earners, the rich, don't pay less tax as they are supposed to pay. Okay, improve the efficiency of tax collection. Yes, that is fine. I think they are even coming up with a special incentive, a kind of a waiver for past tax or overdue tax payment. If you can come and pay some stipend now, then we can move on. I think all those things are a good incentive. But the word of caution is, it is difficult, almost impossible, to attempt to create new tax regime in a period of recession. Because when you're in a period of recession, people don't have the money. What are you going to tax? Unless you're going to be sending them to jail. How do you tax them? What is important is the government to craft strategies towards stimulating the economy, ensuring wealth is generated. Once people begin to have work to do, then you can tax that person. But if somebody doesn't have anything to do, how are you going to tax him? You begin to talk to somebody about unpaid liabilities. And if you are operating within a particular state government, you begin to have plethora of multiple taxation. So that disincentivizes, growth. It disincentivizes, expansion of businesses, especially small businesses that are the ones that typically support employment generation. So the present arrangement of continuous borrowing, though needed, but it's not sustainable. So there must be a balance. A balance must be stricken, because you cannot continue to borrow because your debt to GDP ratio is low. And but your debt reality, the real analysis is on your debt to revenue ratio. And your debt to revenue ratio is showing that you are paying 59, 65 cents per a dollar, then it's not healthy. You have to develop some models of how you can be able to create. If this scenario is what is obtainable now, then there may be difficulty in implementing
the 2017,
especially the capital budget, similar to what transpired in 2016.
Perhaps that is the main reason why there's this new infrastructure debt fund that has been floated on the floor in Nigerian stock exchange, about 5 billion naira, which is supposed to like support maybe a debt profile where maybe state governments and others can tap into. And of course, we also have the huge over 6.6 trillion naira that the pension fund administrators have put together. Is this not a better way of tapping into local funds than going to borrow from outside?
No, let's take one after the other. Yes, it's true there is infrastructure deficit estimated about $300 billion, which cannot be breached overnight. It has to be gradual. Definitely, there is a dearth of critical infrastructure. Take a trip today from Kano to Abuja, or particularly from Zaria to Kano and back. You will understand what I mean. I mean, there is no way movement of goods and services, agricultural goods, can be effective and efficient with such kind of, talk less of loss of lives. You understand? So it is simply not possible. But yes, there is a need for this kind of infrastructure bond to be able to raise the money, long-term money that will support investment and development of infrastructure.
Well, it's been quite interesting talking with you. I'm afraid we have run out of time, Dr. Rislanudeen Muhammad. We will have to continue this discussion some other time. We'll also want to talk with you on perhaps the capital market itself, so that we'll concentrate on this issue of bonds.
Okay.
How state governments can tap into this window, because it's more like some kind of window that has been untapped. And of course, we will also do some analysis on the Paris refund. Because I know that no state government has received less than 4 billion naira.
No,
in this,
some 10 billion.
10, yes, and above. It's been interesting talking with you, Dr. Islam.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
That was Dr. Rislanudeen Muhammad, an economist, Harvard-trained economist, former managing director of Unity Bank, and an investment advisor, talking with us, analyzing the economic situation as it stands today. We'll continue this discussion some other time. Very many thanks indeed, as we now leave you with the graphics of activities at the close of business on the floor of the stock exchange, the foreign exchange market, and of course, the prices of some commodities across some Nigerian markets. I remain Umar Kaltungo. Let's do this again tomorrow. Good morning.